You can click on that if you want to just see the speaker, or if you want to see all the panelists. You can change that view anytime you would like. We will be interacting with you today through our chat feature as well as through questions. So at any time you can enter a chat to comment on what the panelists are talking about, just any comments, anything you want to say. If you have a question for the panelists, I'm going to ask you to click on the Q&A icon that's at the bottom of your Zoom screen and write your question in there. If everything goes according to plan, we will have a few minutes for questions at the end, after the panelists are done, and then we'll take that time to answer those questions for you. Now, I did notice that we had several Dwyer programs that are not represented on the panel today sign up for this webinar. I'm going to ask you if you will go to that chat function and write your name, what county, what Dwyer program you represent, and how people can get a hold of you, because we want to make sure that we're funneling veterans to you and they know how to get a hold of you. So if you can do that, that would be wonderful. I really appreciate it, and welcome. I'm so happy that you've joined us today. And I also just want to mention that this panel is not for continuing education credit. We do offer free continuing education trainings every month through our grant. And that's through our Veterans Mental Health Training Initiative that is funded through the New York State Senate. We're deeply grateful for the Senate for seeing the importance of training mental health clinicians, specifically on veteran culture and veteran topics. So we do offer those every month, and my associate Amelia will put the link to our webpage on there so you can go sign up for those today. Again, I would like to thank the New York State Senate, who funds the Veterans Mental Health Training Initiative for the National Association of Social Workers. Because of this grant, we can offer you panels. We have panels that we're scheduling throughout the rest of the year and for 2021. We offer free continuing education trainings, and we also offer a listserv specifically for clinicians who work with veterans. This listserv is staffed by our Veteran Advisory Committee. Most of the people on our Veteran Advisory Committee are both veterans and clinicians. We also have a couple of clinicians who work specifically with veterans, and then we also have a couple of veterans who are not clinicians. But we have some very well-trained people who staff that listserv, and it is a great place to go and ask questions when you're working with veterans. And additionally, our Veterans Advisory Committee just started a book club as well. So we're going to be getting information out of that book club. Thank you, Sharon. You will see her on your screen. She organized the book club, so we're going to start getting that information out as well. I just wanted to say a little bit about the Dwyer program. Just full disclosure, I was on the program evaluation team from 2014 to 2017, so I'm a little bit biased with this program. I absolutely saw the effectiveness of this program through research. I personally spoke with close to 90 veterans across the state, and the one thing I can tell you is this program saves lives. It not only saves people's lives from people who are considering suicide, it also saves them for their quality of life. This program gets veterans out of their house and gets them into the community. And I cannot say enough good things about the Dwyer program, and I'm thrilled that this is the first panel that we are conducting through this grant with NASW. I want to say my deep appreciation for the three senators who joined us today, Senator Serino, Senator Carlucci, and Senator Brooks, who himself is a veteran. You have demonstrated again your commitment to veterans. We already know you have a commitment to veterans by you being here and taking time out of your busy schedule. You're showing us, the clinicians, you're showing the veterans and your constituents that this is a priority for you. And I deeply appreciate you taking the time to be here and demonstrating your commitment to this project and to the veterans. And I think you would join me in saying that we owe the most appreciation to the panelists that we have today. The panelists that are here are veterans, except one who also helps with the run a Dwyer program. But not only did you serve your country and put your time into the military, you came home and you're still serving. You're there for veterans every single day. I know from my work on the Dwyer program that you do not work an 8-hour day, 5 days a week. You work 24/7. and this is your life's mission, and you do whatever it takes to work with veterans and improve their lives. And I cannot thank you enough for being a part of our Veteran Advisory Committee and for being a part of this panel. And I'm just excited everyone else will get to know what you do today and how you help veterans. So at this time, I'm going to hand it over to our moderator, Dr. Eric Hardiman, and he will tell you a little bit about himself and he will get us started. Thank you.
Great, welcome everybody. My name is Eric Hardiman and I'm from the School of Social Welfare at the University at Albany. I'm a faculty member here and I'm also director of our MSW program. So it's great to be speaking with social workers and members of the NASW. I would also, as Sam did, like to extend very much a heartfelt thanks to the 3 state senators who are here with us today and to our 6 panelists. It's a tremendous honor and a privilege for me to be invited to moderate what I know is going to be a very exciting conversation about veterans in our state today. I would also like to thank all the veterans around the state who are affiliated with the Dwyer Program for their service to our country and for the incredibly important work that they do daily on behalf of our state veterans. So my research and scholarship have for many years focused on the importance of peer support. And that's basically the idea of people with lived experience helping others who have similar lived experience. I'm currently leading the evaluation of the Joseph P. Dwyer Veterans Peer Support Program that we're here to talk about today. This program has flourished and I would say just grown by leaps and bounds. 4 initial counties were funded in 2012, and today in its current implementation, we have over 23 counties who are funded to provide Dwyer services. So I'm mostly going to let our state senators and the Dwyer panelists do the talking today, but I did want to share a couple of very quick facts. So I see the Dwyer program in New York State as a pioneering program. There are no other states that have invested across their state in veterans peer support in the way that New York has. And I think that's really important to acknowledge. All services that are provided by the Dwyer program are delivered by veterans for veterans, so that makes it peer support. They're also delivered to family members of veterans, and so that's something we can talk about later as well. All services are non-traditional, non-clinical, and voluntary in nature. That's key because that means veterans choose to come to Dwyer. They don't have to, it's not required. To date, the Dwyer program has delivered over almost 10,000 support groups. That's incredible when you think about it, almost 10,000 support groups with a total attendance of over 44,000 veterans in those groups. In terms of individual contacts, Dwyer County programs they report delivering over 250,000, over 250,000 individual face-to-face contacts with veterans in our state, and over 600,000 contacts by telephone, email, or text. This is how the outreach works. That's how they connect with each other. I see the Dwyer program as a forward-thinking, creative, innovative program for veterans and their families. Even in this challenging time of COVID and the pandemic, the Dwyer programs have continued to innovate, have figured out how to reach veterans who are isolated, and as Sam put it, have continued to save lives around the state. This program, however, would not be here without the tireless and continued support of advocates, county leaders, and state legislators. So it's now my privilege to introduce 3 of our state senators, whom I would like to again publicly thank for their ongoing support of this program. So let me get my agenda here, and we'll start off with Senator Sue Serino, who represents the 41st District, which includes both parts of Dutchess and Putnam counties.
Thank you very much, Eric, and Samantha, thank you for your kind words before. John Borges, who's in my district, represents Putnam, is here on the panel as well, and thank you to all of our veterans for everything that they do for us. I'm thrilled to be here to talk about a program in the state that we know works and has saved so many lives. Back in 2010, I lost my brother to suicide. He wasn't a veteran, but I understand, and it's something that's very near and dear and personal to me, how important it is to be able to talk to someone. And with the Dwyer program, it's peer-to-peer, and that's what our veterans look for. Every year, we have to have our veterans schlep up to Albany to fight for this money, and it's not fair. But we have a true champion with Senator Brooks, who has helped lead the way and really fight to get those funds. So Senator Brooks, I cannot thank you enough. And I know this year with the state in severe financial distress, we're going to fight to ensure that this funding remains fully intact. That's where everyone on this Zoom call can play a part in helping to protect the program today. Make your voices heard. It's so important. The pandemic, as we know, has forced veterans to be isolated, something that we really, when we talk about veterans, we don't want them to be isolated, but they are now. So these services are more important than ever. And yesterday, when our head of Vet Services said that this program has 100% success rate, that's amazing. That's why it's so important. And as social workers know there's not many programs that can say that. So thank you again for having me here today, and thank you for all that you do. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Senator Serino. Next, we'll hear from Senator John Brooks, who represents the 8th District of New York, which includes parts of Nassau and Suffolk County. Welcome, Senator Brooks.
Thank you, and good morning, or rather good afternoon to everyone. And Sue, thanks for your kind remarks. I have the honor of chairing the Veterans Committee in the State Senate. We don't have any Republicans or Democrats on that committee. We have a group of people that are dedicated and concerned with serving our veterans. There's no politics in that room. And it's really a great thing. And when we talk and we look at funding, the Dwyer Program is like the golden, I don't know, everybody recognizes how effective it is. Everybody wants to be a part of it. In the 2 years that I've had a chance to chair, we've increased the funding each of those years, and we're trying to expand that statewide. There is an effort to make the program national in scope. It works. It works for many, many reasons. First, I think the peer-to-peer is part of the success. Your separation from service, the reason for that is not a consideration. As Sue has mentioned, suicide is a real problem. And we see it not only with the male veterans, but female veterans as well. And we've got to function and concentrate in that area more. But this is a program that every one of us has nothing but praise for it. Every one of us fights for the dollars. Everybody wants to expand it to other areas. Private Dwyer actually was a resident of Suffolk County at one point. And the programs that we have in Suffolk County and Nassau County both run exceptionally well. We brought it into Queens and just recently. And we're going to continue to expand that as it goes on. As Sue had mentioned, with the pandemic, we had a hearing last week on the impact of COVID-19 had on veterans, and it is dramatic. And as Sue said, many of those people that are having difficulty now are separated in contact with other people. It makes it difficult. So we're really pleased to be here today. All of us fully support this program, want to keep it expanding. As Sue said, we're going to be fighting for the money to keep there. It is a program that has proven itself time and time again. And it's in a situation, too, where a veteran has the opportunity to help a fellow veteran. A veteran can say, I was there. I know how you feel. That's so important. You know, when you're having problems and difficulties, and you have somebody who really understands, really walk down the same road that you do, they can be so much more effective. So it is an honor to be with you today. It is a privilege, I think a privilege for all of us that have an opportunity to serve on this committee. And it is the North Star of what we do for veterans. It is that shining light that gives somebody direction to find, and it works. So I'm so pleased to be with you today. And I thank all of you for the work that you're doing for the veterans of this state. And we're going to continue to see great success from this program in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator Brooks. So next we have Senator Carlucci, who represents the 38th District of New York, which includes both Rockland and Westchester County. Welcome, Senator Carlucci.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for putting together this great event today. I want to thank the National Association of Social Workers and everyone involved, particularly my colleagues, Senator Brooks and Senator Serino, for continuing to fight for and advocate for this important issue. And today I'm excited to be here and to listen to the conversation and to participate, because as the chair of the Mental Health Committee and back when we initiated this program and said, look, we can show, let's start here. Let's start in a few counties and we can continue to expand. And as was said in the beginning today, that New York is really the pioneer. We shouldn't be, but the Empire State seems to always have to be the leader. And I think that is really the responsibility of New York, of the Empire State, that we can't wait for the federal government. We can't wait for another state. We have to act. And that's what we're doing with the Dwyer Program. And I want to thank everyone on the ground for implementing it, for practicing, and for implementing best practices and improving it. And I believe that this is something that will spread across the nation, and I'm hopeful that it will. And, you know, when we talk about mental illness, when we talk about post-traumatic stress disorder, this is not something that just impacts veterans. However, we know that our veterans have unique experiences that need to be addressed. And I think I say that because, yes, of course, we should be doing this, but it should be even further, that every person, I believe, across the country should have access to these tools. We're learning that the peer-to-peer method is effective and it works on many scenarios, not just post-traumatic stress disorder. So that's why we have to continue with the Dwyer Program and make sure that it's the shining example of what works and what can work in many other regards. You know, I often think that our brain, it's the most powerful tool in the world. And just like any other powerful tool, you have to know how to use it. And I believe we have to fundamentally change the paradigm in the way that we talk about mental illness and how we have these silos, that we teach our children about all the important things like math and science and reading and writing, but we rarely teach them about emotional intelligence and about how to control and to think about your emotions and how your brain actually works. And I believe that's something that we all have to strive for. So I want to thank everyone for your commitment to helping our veterans. And I look forward to continuing to work with you in any way possible to improve the quality of life of our veterans and to end the stigma of mental illness in this country and on this planet. So look forward to the conversation today. Again, I want to thank my colleagues, Senator Serino and Senator Brooks, and particularly the Dwyer Program run from Bridges. I see Sharon Bailey, who's always working to behind the scenes, but also helping us advocate and talk about why the Dwyer Program is so important. We've got to continue to communicate that to veterans, but also to the general public and to our elected officials. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator Carlucci. I would like to again just thank all three of the senators. It really is incredible being in a state like New York to have the quality of leadership amongst legislators that the three of you and your colleagues provide is just truly incredible. And I think, you know, the idea of the Dwyer Project going national has been mentioned a few times. And I think one of the reasons, if that happens, and as that happens, I should say, I'll be hopeful there, is due to the leadership that you've provided and the vision that you've provided. And to those attendees who are watching and listening and thinking of politicians, this is, you know, these are the folks we have here in New York, and it's truly incredible. And your leadership enables all of the success that Dwyer has been able to achieve around the state. So one of the things that I neglected to mention at the beginning is that in my role as moderator, I have the unenviable task of trying to make sure that panelists stick to the time schedule. And so what I will be doing is introducing 6 panelists, and those 6 panelists work in the Dwyer programs. They help run Dwyer programs. They serve veterans every day in their counties, in their communities. And I will introduce each of them separately, let them talk for approximately 5 minutes each. I may, if someone goes over a little bit, I may put up a sign that says you have a minute left. I'll try to do that gently, and then we will move to the next panelist. But before I get into the 6 panelists, I want to also echo something that Sam said at the very beginning, which is in our role as evaluators, when Sam worked on my evaluation project, we traveled all over the state, Sam and I, visiting Dwyer programs and talking to veterans. And when I say, Sam mentioned that she talked to over 90 veterans, these were not quick conversations. These were, 2-hour intensive conversations where she learned all about their lives, where they opened up to her and told her, what's important about being a veteran, what makes a difference about giving back to other peers who are veterans. And I did the same. We've met so many veterans, we've seen so many programs, and been able to, when you walk into a Dwyer program in a county, and it might be Jefferson County, it might be Chautauqua County, it might be Rockland, it might be Onondaga, it's all over the state. When you walk into those counties and meet these veterans and see the incredible work that they're doing, the life-saving work, it changes from reading about it on paper or hearing about it on a panel like this. There's something about seeing it in person. So I would encourage any of the attendees of this panel, if you are a social worker, or if you're just interested in veterans and want to help veterans in your communities, reach out to the Dwyer programs. I know Sam is collecting contact information. Some of you may have veterans in your own families or in your own lives who you think may need a little support, a little extra help. The Dwyer programs can help. They can provide that help. Even if folks don't want to go to the VA, or if they don't want to engage in traditional, more clinical services, they can go to a Dwyer program and get peer support. They can get social support. They can get emotional support. There's a whole range of activities that these programs provide that become really of critical importance. So I've seen this program, and I've worked evaluating it for so many years. And I'll just say that the data are incredibly positive. The data show us that the program reduces isolation for veterans. It improves quality of life. It actually improves their service connection. So veterans that connect with the Dwyer program also end up going to the Veterans Administration more often, getting the health care they need, getting other benefits they might need to improve their lives. You see veterans who are now employed, veterans who have turned their lives around, maybe with addictions, with other relationship difficulties, things they've experienced in life have turned around as a result of attending Dwyer program activities. So I think we'll jump right into it now. And our first speaker is John Borges, who directs the Dwyer program out of Putnam County. And John will also tell you the story, if attendees don't know the story of Joseph P. Dwyer, for whom the program is named after. John's also going to do us the favor of telling us that story as well. So John Borges from Putnam County.
Thank you, everybody, for having me, and Eric and Sam and the senators. It's truly a great thing. One of the points about this program is to remind everybody that it's named after a person. There's a connection and a humanity there. It doesn't just make it a New York State mental health program. This is the Joseph P. Dwyer Vet to Vet program. He was a real person. He was somebody's son. He was somebody's brother. He was a husband. He was a father. Sometimes people mistakenly say that he had committed suicide. He didn't. It's an accidental overdose. And I think that a lot of times when people want to throw around statistics as to it's 22 veterans a day, 20 veterans a day, I believe all of us can understand that that number is far under what the actual number is, because there are individuals that take the long way around. They don't take the short method. Dwyer was a real person. He joined the military because of 9/11, as many of us did. I joined at 50. He joined because of 9/11 and was deployed to Iraq. He was a combat medic. And there is this quintessential photograph of him running forward to retrieve a child that had been injured in one of the battles that they were involved in. And I explained that, although it seems like it's one picture of one person with one child, with one father, they know, and everybody knows, that there are a lot of people around. He just happened to have been in that right place at the right time. And that photograph epitomizes what the United States military personnel is. That's their ideal. That's the ideology behind it. They're there to serve in the military and to help. And in 2008, he accidentally overdosed, as I said, from huffing. And as I recall, we had the privilege of meeting his family. And I think many of the people from Suffolk County that knew him closer and the family closer, his last words were basically, "I don't want to die." So if you take to heart that this is a real person, this is not just some sort of arbitrary organization, I think it'll change your perspective as to why we're here. As far as Dwyer goes and the program goes, for Putnam County, and I'm absolutely positive every single one of the Dwyer programs can give you anecdotal evidence of how they have saved somebody from committing suicide, how they have brought people to recovery, how they have dealt with people one-to-one, and how they have altered people's lives, either getting them off of narcotics, getting them off of the street, getting them help, getting them into the service. A lot of times that starts with, not only do you meet them, the first thing is that, dude, you're not broken and I'm not going to fix you. I'm here to help you. You tell me what I can do to help, and I'm there for you. And I think also most of the Dwyer programs will admit that we're facilitators. You run into people that are having a hard time getting something filed, a claim. You're able to assist them. They don't have a pair of shoes. You're able to get them that. They don't have food. We're able to get food cards. Each county is different, so each one has to adjust, fire, and overcome. We don't have a shelter in Putnam County. So we've been able to contract with motels to be able to put them up and to be able to give them 3 days, and then it's going to be up to them. We're going to try and find you shelter. We've been able to work with some of the ShopRites to be able to get them food cards, to get them transportation, to get them gas cards. And again, I think if you ask each one of the Dwyers, because each county is so different, we do things differently. But all of it is done together collectively because we have a very good working relationship between all of the Dwyers. None of us says, this is my territory, this is me, and I run this. Everybody is, can I help you? How can I help you? Hey, I ran into this guy. He's homeless. He's living in this county at this address. Do you think you can do something? And the other part of it is that he's not in my office. That veteran, he or she, is not in my office. They're out in the field. They're out living in a car. They're out living in the woods. They're out doing something. My job is to go find them. That's what I do. People who are in the VFWs, American Legions, DAV, AMVETS, whatever it may be, to some extent they have some sort of certain support system already. Most of us would agree that we're looking for that outlier. We're looking for that cellar dweller. We're looking for that guy that does not have that support, does not have that connection. And slowly but surely, you're able to pull them out and reconnect them to humanity and to reconnect them to other veterans. And again, nobody comes over to them and says, hey, where did you serve? What did you do? It's, oh, hey, how you doing? Welcome home, brother. What can we do? And the other advantage to us that separates us also, there are many veteran service officers that are some of the greatest people I know to be able to help people, but they work under the VA auspices. I don't have that goal. I don't have that rule. Regardless of your discharge status, regardless of where you came from, what you served with, if there's somewhere in there that's got a DD-214, I can help you. And even if you don't, I don't really care. What can I do to help you? I've dealt with several people that have severe mental health issues. And I would tell you, I was the first people to be very skeptical that they were served in the military at all, no matter how many days. And amazingly enough, they were able to show a DD-214. Granted, the military said after a very short period of time, I don't think this is going to work out. Have a nice day. But we're there to help them. And the other part of it, and with something that Senator Serino has mentioned, we talk about PTSD and suicide. One of the things that we're trying to change the shape and mannerism is that suicide's everybody's problem. This is all of us. And we're trying to cast a net as wide as we can to capture every single veteran that we can, regardless. And what ends up happening is sometimes caught up in that net are the other people that are not veterans. And people have reached out to us and said, listen, my brother-in-law's not a veteran, but he's been having a lot of mental health issues with suicide ideations and so on. Is there somebody you can help me? Some way you can do this. We're trying to teach people safe talk, just so that they're aware that you can ask certain questions, you can do things, but be proactive. If we turn around in the battlefield and say nobody is left behind, then why does that stop once they come into the American territories? We did this once with a safe talk, and one of the veterans said, I've got somebody here, you know, and he calls me up, he's in trouble. Who do I call? I said, he just did, he called you. And now our training is to try and help you find the right words for him to get him help. So I'd like to thank you all for being here and to listen to us. Understand that each one of the counties adjusts and does things differently, but all of us here have the common goal of trying to assist veterans to get through this process of returning from war. So thank you very much, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, John. We appreciate you. Next, we'll hear from Audrey Lewis, and Audrey works at the Nassau County Dwyer Program. Welcome, Audrey.
Thank you so much, Eric, and thank you to Sam and to all of our senators and to the panelists and the audience. I am actually a veteran myself, a combat veteran. I served from 88 to 91. I served in Operation Desert Storm, Desert Shield, and it was a pleasure to serve my country, and it is a pleasure to serve the veterans who've served as well their country. So it is really an honor to be here. And this program is so vital to the lives of every veteran and the families. We cannot forget the families, because as the veteran goes through, like the depression and the loneliness, the family, they're going through that as well. And they don't understand that what's going on with their spouse, what's going on with their uncle, their brother. So it's a total program. We embrace everyone, not only the veteran, but the relatives, the friends, and which is very important. This program, it saves lives, it provides support, it provides guidance to our veterans. I represent, as you said, Eric, the Nassau County Dwyer. We specialize in actually the peer support program, the peer support groups. And it's a way of helping to maintain the spirit of camaraderie for our veterans, because once you leave the military, we go into the military and we're used to being together as a group, as a whole, and then we come out and it's, where do I go? I need a buddy. So it's wonderful that we can provide that buddy for them. And currently we run groups throughout Nassau County. We run a veterans group, a spouse, a woman's, and a family group. And actually since COVID, we were able to run all of our groups virtually, which has been amazing. Even those veterans who they're not as tech savvy, we've been able to assist them with getting on a Zoom or just calling up on the Zoom, just to maintain and to ensure that they are part of something, that they feel like they're still in the military and still one of us. And also what happened with our groups, we've been able to go beyond just Long Island. We've had people from other states contact us and get on the Zoom call and also ask for assistance. So we are there for them. In addition to the peer support groups, we provide a lot of engagement and social activities for our veterans, from fishing trips to retreats, couples retreats, which is very beneficial to the family, bowling, kite flying, holiday parties. We have toy drives. We give away clothing, food, whatever the veteran needs, we'll provide it for them. We've been able to partner with other agencies. So if veterans need furniture, we're able to do that. We assist them with crises. If someone comes in and they need money for school or money to pay their bills, emergency funding, we also have that we provide for our veterans. In September, actually, we're launching a new program. It's a bereavement program for veterans and their families. So we're hoping to reach all of, or most of, Nassau County and Suffolk County veterans who've gone through the loss. Because there's a lot of not closing the chapter of what happened during COVID. So we want to help walk them through and take them through that journey. So if there's anyone that you know, any veterans out there who are bereaving right now, please feel free to refer them to us. And in addition to that piece, we're also doing a lot of workshops with service providers. So it's so important that our service providers know how to support and to provide tools for our veterans. So we're also going through that stage and teaching them and training them and giving them the supports that they need as well. And I just want to kind of close a little bit in regard and tell a little story. We had a veteran, he's still alive, I have a veteran, he's 100 years old. And he actually served during World War II. And he survived war. He actually came down with COVID. He survived COVID. However, he was actually in a rehab. And he was very lonely. He was getting depressed. He was just feeling like giving up on life. So what we did was we actually contacted all of our groups. We coordinated one of the drive-bys. We had the fire department come, the police come, and we did a drive-by, and this man, he actually cried. And he said that this added 10 years to his life. And that's the jewel in this program, that we're able to revitalize our veterans and to let them know that you're not here alone, that we support you. So that's pretty much about our Nassau County, and I will actually put in the chat my contact information if anyone would like to contact me for questions or anything. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for that story, Audrey. It really strikes me, and I'll just say this really quickly, but it strikes me in listening to your words that one of the other benefits of Dwyer programs is not just the veterans and their family members, but it's the communities, it's your local counties, because it sends a message to those counties that veterans are not just folks that have been discarded. They're not just people that did their service and we no longer need something from them, but they're valuable citizens. They are, in fact, they've got strengths and abilities and, you know, a set of skills that we could use in this state and in particular counties and communities. So Dwyer programs also serve an important public education role, that they are helping to spread that message that veterans should be included, you know, along with everybody else in a community. So next we have up Sharon Bailey, and Sharon Bailey works with the Rockland County Dwyer program. Sharon, welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, senators, for being here supporting us, because that's what it takes for us to make this program happen in our communities. In Rockland County, we have 9,000 veterans. And so when I first came into the position as administrator and social worker, I said, how can I impact 9,000 veterans? What would I need besides the Army behind me to do that? And so that's what I began to do, is empower our community, empower our veterans in the community to connect with one another. And so there's a lot of collaboration. We have 4 coordinators and 1 justice involved veterans, a peer specialist. And we go out and said, hey, we've been there, we've done that. And let's walk alongside each other. We've had veterans that were living in storage containers, and, you know, we said, we can do something better than this, and let's get you employed, and let's get you out of the car and, you know, out of the storage container. And we just go to the highways and byways, as they used to say. And so what we've also done is not allow the mentors to feel like they're alone either, because we know that we all have something. We're all carrying something from our experience in the military. So we try to not only train them with military behavioral health training, but also give them support and know that there could be a veteran that they're talking to that could trigger them. And how we not share war stories, but we walk alongside and just listen. So we give them support as well as ongoing training to help them with that. And then we talk to the community about military culture. And We've also engaged the colleges on how to be veteran friendly, because we can provide services to veterans, but sometimes we don't know some of our actions, some of the things that we say, some of our political views can impact veterans. So how do we create an environment where veterans can grow and thrive? That's my thing when it's coming into the Rockland County area. And then we had community members that said, hey, how can we help? I want to say more than thank you for your service. I want to be an answer. And so we have local acupuncturists that's doing group acupuncture. We have Tai Chi leaders, yoga instructors, massage therapists, chiropractors, anything that they can do as a peer supporting our veterans, they do. And so since the pandemic, we haven't had our socials because I said I can't reach all 9,000 people, but what can we do that veterans can contact veterans? And so we started social in the libraries, and we provide food, and now even the community said, hey, we will help you with that food. So we have free food. Everything that we have, every service that we have for the veterans in the county is free. So the acupuncturist, she comes in, does the group acupuncture for free. They do the meditation, the yoga. We pay for it as an organization, but the veterans come, their family members can come and utilize that. And they also, we also have a writing workshop. We have one for veterans, talking about their veteran experience. And then we also have a creative writing workshop that's for family members as well. So we have Gold Star moms in the workshop, and they still get that military camaraderie, and they get connected with the veterans. And it's just us loving on each other, tell you the truth. We're loving on each other, being that tribe for one another. And what my role is as a woman veteran, since there's not a lot of us, and a lot of times we feel even more so isolated, and we take care of everybody else, and we don't have time to take care of ourselves. So we have projects to bring women veteran and their issues into the light. And so we have photo shoots, and the photo shoot was amazing. I just thought we were going to take pictures, put it up in Palisades Mall, and have the community look at those pictures. But what we started doing, one of the local beauty colleges came in and did hair and makeup, and it transformed the women. They started talking. We started sharing our experiences, the struggles at work, our children, everything just came up, and it was amazing. And so I say, anytime you do something with a veteran, something happens. And so we started a book club. We're going to have a book club for the women veterans today. And one of the writers, she's a gunnery sergeant, and she writes a book. She's on TV, and she's just going to speak into the life of our women veterans, saying, you know what, we got a lot inside of us, and just let it shine. And now you have a tribe, because I think that's the biggest thing. Once we get out of the military, we don't feel like we're connected anymore. We feel disconnected. Our communication is disconnected. And now we have a place to go, and we have people to talk to. So when we have peers, I think it's really important to even stress, if you have peer programs, it's important that we pour into them and make sure that they're doing well themselves. We're not counselors, we're not doing therapy, but we have to walk alongside them and make sure they're trained to do what they're doing, and that if something comes up that they can't handle, they know they have a backup. So our program, we set it up just like the military. I'm the commander, I have foot soldiers, and they're the team leaders, and then they take care of their mentors, and the mentors take care of the other veterans. And we have a whole squadron, really, of mentors that are volunteer. And anybody knows when you have volunteer forces, it's kind of hard to kind of get your arms around that. But we try to keep them going. We try to feed them. We try to encourage them. And, we have recognition luncheon for them. calls, support calls just for them. So during the pandemic, we're calling our veterans that are in our program. We're also providing support groups for the mentors as well as our veterans. And then we have a wellness group for first responders and our veterans. So that's what we're doing in Rockland. We're sitting back chilling.
Sharon, thank you so much. For those of you who maybe have checked into this panel late in terms of watching, I just want to remind folks, that you are hearing right now from panelists who work at the various county Dwyer programs. And Sharon, I really want to thank you for your words. And also maybe suggest to you that if possible, if you could put in the chat window the link to the website that has the photo shoot you were talking about. I believe there's a website that shows the photographs, and they truly are remarkable. And I think that will give some of the attendees a sense of what your experience was like with that project. The other thing I wanted to tell attendees is that if you have questions, there's a Q&A, and Sam mentioned this at the beginning, but in case anybody missed it, there's a Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen. Type in a question there, and Sam and Amelia, as in their role as NASW administrators, will accumulate those questions and save them for the end, and we will have time for all the panelists and senators, if appropriate, to answer questions. So if you have questions, we will certainly have time to get to them. Next, I'd like to introduce Brent Russell, and Brent Russell is a very special person to the Dwyer Project and has been committed to working for the Dwyer Project for many, many years now and works in Nassau County. Welcome, Brent.
Thank you so much. And thank you to Senator Brooks, Serino, and Carlucci for your support. It's pretty clear that without your support that we wouldn't be able to do what we do, right? And there's many pieces to the puzzle, and I'm honored to work with my co-workers and everybody here and everybody who's not here to help make this program a success. And Senator Brooks, you talked about peer support, and you talked about this program being unique. And I am an Army veteran, and I joined the military and was in from 90 to 92. And I joined the military for a few reasons. One of them was to get out of town. The other one was to run from religion, not God, just religion. Right? And then the other one was to feel good about myself because I had an issue with self-esteem. And when I went into the military, I trained hard. I created some relationships. I learned some tools about how to work together with people. And then I hurt myself, and then I had surgery. And then I was in a medical hold unit for about 6 months, which felt like it was 6 years. And all of those feelings of insecurity and not being able to work with my new comrades and not being able to deploy compounded those initial feelings of not feeling good about myself. And I went home and I flopped around for a while, right? And I got myself together and I decided to go to school, and I went to school, and I began to work with veterans at the Mental Health Association in Nassau County, still stuck, right? Not really clear. And then I met a woman named Samantha Fletcher. I don't know if she remembers this story. I did tell her, but she helped me to redefine something that I was missing for a very long time, and that was being a part of the military. And although I'm a veteran, right, I'm still serving with my fellow veterans, and I'm still helping my brothers, and my goal is not to leave another man behind, right? And these are some of the things that we were taught in the military, and that's the magic of this program. So I'm a believer in the program. I don't mind putting my heart and soul into it, but I'm also a satisfied customer, right? Because this program has helped me, and I've watched the magic. I've watched individuals come into our groups because I started as a group leader, right? And then I moved on, and then I moved up, and so now I'm the director of veteran services, and so I've seen the magic, right? And there's two pieces to our veterans department in Nassau County. One is PFC Dwyer Peer Support Project, and the other one is Veterans Health Alliance of Long Island. And we We work together. We're in the same office, right? And so there's peer support, there's training opportunities through Veterans Health Alliance of Long Island, which we call Valley. There's also outreach, there's advocacy, and there is also things that we do to create awareness, right? And some of the things that, because Valley is specifically fundraised, right? And we go out and we get these grants, it allows us to be able, the money that's fundraised to be kind of, we call it soft money, right? But we can do with it what we want to do, right? And for the most part, what we do with it is we create these outings. Audrey mentioned some of them, right? The Veterans Weekend Retreat. We go fishing twice a year. We do a holiday party. We have a turkey drive. We have a barbecue every year, and we do it around the same time of the year so that our veterans know that this is getting ready to come up, and we serve families and we serve veterans. And we do a great deal of work that way, because although our veterans come to our barbecues and go fishing and have fun, my staff has been trained to engage our veterans, right? And find out and figure out where they are and what it is they need help with, and how we can help them, how we can connect them to different resources. And so within the Veterans Health Alliance of Long Island, there's about 80 different organizations, and we've all come together to help the veterans. And I have to mention before I shut down that the counties that receive the money to help veterans through the Dwyer Program, we all work together. We're all a family. So in Nassau County, we've created a family within the county of veterans that support each other. So although we have not met physically, there was no issue with individuals getting together on Zoom, because we're already connected. We didn't have to tell anybody, because we already knew, right? Because we're already connected. And I kind of feel the same with different Dwyer programs. Specifically, and I say specifically because Suffolk County is right next to us, right? There's Suffolk County and then there's Nassau County, right? And so, you know, we work closely together to serve the veteran. And just, I don't know, last week, there was a veteran that was brought to our attention that was homeless and needed some housing. He was in Suffolk County. We reached out to Marcel Lees, who was the director of the program there, and she connected this gentleman to some resources. And we got the report back that the gentleman is sitting with, I forget the name of the organization, but he's good. He's in, right? It's because we work together, right? Teamwork, absolutely. It's teamwork, but the goal is to serve the veteran. And I don't know if I said this. This is the last thing, and I'm gonna shut up. Every event that we put together, the underlying goal is to serve the veteran. And that's basically what we do. And that's why I'm proud to be a part of this program. Thank you for letting me talk.
Make sure I unmute there. Thank you so much, Brent. We really appreciate that. So next up, we have Vanessa De Roos, and Vanessa is from Onondaga County. Welcome, Vanessa.
Thank you so much. And I want to say thank you to all of the panelists, all the senators that are on this call. Again, I want to echo everything that the panelists has said, and Eric and Sam, that you guys are instrumental in the Dwyer program continuing. I'm a Navy veteran, and I served from 2006 to 2013. I was a mechanic in the military, so I wanted to try something that was really challenging, and yes, it was. And my transition into civilian life was somewhat challenging, because you get out and you don't know where you're going, where you're going to live. However, we were able to move, both my husband and I were able to move to upstate New York, and one of our friends allowed us to stay at their home, and that's how we propelled from there. So right now, I get to work with veterans, and the stories that I'm sometimes told is so inspiring, especially from the veterans who are World War II Korean veterans. When they share their stories, and the Vietnam veterans, I always say to them, you know, because of you, we are where we are today because you guys fought for us, and now we are able to be successful because of you, because you guys put the ball in motion. So in Onondaga County, we actually have two counties, both Onondaga and Broome County. But one of the things that is important when we first started in Broome County was to identify the demographics of the veterans there. In Broome County, most of the veterans are over 55 years old. So the activities that we offered, they were all tailored to those veterans. And we're not going to go on a 40-mile hike and the veterans aren't able to, to follow if they're, if they have some physical issues. So that I thought was very important to identify when you're serving veterans in certain communities. In Onondaga County, we have peer support, and it comes in various forms. So yes, we connect them with resources in the communities, but we also listen to them. Sometimes I'm on the phone with a veteran for an hour and I don't get one word in, just because they want somebody to listen to them. And so I just do that. And then, the conversation kind of goes from there, what can I help you with? But I think that is very important that as veterans ourselves and as service providers, that we listen to veterans when they're talking, because sometimes that's all they want to do. They just want someone to listen to what they have to say. And we do offer other programs. We do have an employment program. It's called the Warriors Working Program. So because now a lot of veterans and family members are out of work through COVID, we have implemented the Warriors Working Program so we can help veterans gain employment. And it can be anything from resume writing to networking with employers to, interviewing skills. We are able to offer all those things, anything that the veteran may be deficient in. We also provide emotional support. I remember having one veteran for crisis situations. He was on morphine for a long period of time because he had such severe pain. And obviously the laws changed, and so his primary care provider reduced the amount of his prescription. So I had called him that morning and he sounded really distressed. So it just didn't sit right with me. So I called him that evening when I got home and I asked him the question, are you thinking about harming yourself? And he said, yes. So I kept him on the phone, and so I was on my work phone, and then I had my personal phone. So I texted my supervisor to call 911 because I wanted to keep him on the phone so that they can go do a wellness check on him at his house. So that's just to show you how important and how vital the peer support program is to the veterans, because that phone call may have saved that individual's life. We also have social program because, again, veterans tend to be very isolated. Obviously, because of COVID, we can't provide this, but it's our canteen. And the canteen is all about camaraderie, social engagement. And so it involves the veteran and their family members. We sometimes had between 100 and 200 veterans and their family members who would come out every Wednesday food is sometimes a great incentive, to have the gourmet food. It was cooked by one of our chefs. He was a Marine, and it was delicious. I'm not being biased or anything. It was really good. And that would be an opportunity for us to sit, the peers would sit at various tables. We would just choose a table and just engage with the veterans. And sometimes out of that conversation, we would find veterans who need support, whether it be clinical support, whether it's just, connecting with a VSO, whatever the case may be, housing support, we may find that, or they had a transportation issue that they can't get to an appointment. So we've had referrals that have a conversation with at our canteens. And the canteen, I wanted to give you guys a little bit of history about canteen because I love telling the story. Canteen stemmed from in World War II in North Platte, Nebraska. When the troops were going off to war, they would stop in North Platte, and the community would come together and offer camaraderie to the veteran, to the troops before they went off to war. So they offered them treats, and it was more like a party before they went off. And so we've adapted that, and it's the same thing. It's all about the camaraderie. It's all about getting together, telling stories, and just engaging and communicating and interacting with other veterans and family members as well. Because a lot of times it's the wife comes along with the veteran. Some of the activities that we've done so far, we've done trips. We have a really good relationship with our county VSO. So they actually purchased us a 12-passenger van so we can take our veterans to outings. So we've done the state parks, we've done the Baseball Hall of Fame, like we travel all over, and it has been very rewarding to the veterans. So we try to do things out, things that can also help our rural veterans because they are unable to get to certain places. So we're able to go pick them up and reduce that barrier. We also do like appreciation days. So we recognize the Korean War veterans, the Vietnam War veterans, and also the women veterans. We did the women veterans separately because we felt that needed to be separate. The needs and the support is totally different for women veterans. So we do that every year. This year we did it virtually because obvious reasons. And it was a 5-part self-care series, and we involved the VA. We had a therapist that came on, a massage therapist, and she did like breathing exercises and stuff like that. And we also had an art talk. So we had an artist, she came on, and we described some of the photos and kind of looked at it and, just kind of brainstormed and what it looked like, which was really interesting. It was funny to see what people came up with from the photos. And I also wanted to mention some of the challenges that we've encountered. One is some of the female veterans. Sometimes they don't, I'm a female veteran myself, but sometimes we don't get that interaction with female veterans. Either they're fulfilling the roles of wife, mother, so it's challenging to get them out. We try to, minimize the barrier of childcare, so we will offer that. But still, we've had a challenge with women veterans. Also, the rural veterans, as I talked about, in regards to transportation. And then we also have veterans who are crossing over from other counties. So, like in Broome County, we have Tioga County that's neighboring. The VA is in Broome County. The vet center is in Broome County. So you have veterans that are coming from the surrounding counties to Broome County. Yes, we serve them, but those counties that are surrounded are not covered by Dwyer. So that's one of the challenges that we've had. It would be lovely if all of the counties in New York State would have Dwyer so that we can eliminate that problem, and we can also have enough staff to service those veterans in those counties. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vanessa.
You're welcome.
So, last but certainly not least, we have Lorraine Greenwell, who works in the Dwyer program, which is housed at the Bridges program in Rockland County. Welcome, Lorraine.
Thanks, Eric. I also want to thank everybody, Sam, Amelia, Eric, the senators for their continued support, and fellow panelists. So I am the Deputy Executive Director at Bridges, which is Rockland County's Independent Living Center. I'm a social worker, and I'm supervisor of the Dwyer program. I've been with the Dwyer program since its inception in 2014 at Bridges, and that included writing the response to the RFP to putting the program in place here. And we've shifted gears, adapting to need, and now more than ever to the times. So as everybody's heard, the Dwyer program is run differently in each county, but the core of the program is the same everywhere: peer services for veterans. Independent living centers are peer-run agencies comprised of at least 50% board and staff that are people with disabilities. ILCs understand what it means to have shared lived experience. We were a perfect fit for the Dwyer program. And in being an independent living center, we have a lot of value-added benefits for veterans. So a veteran can go to the Veterans Service Agency and work with a specialist for veterans benefits. We do not do that, but our staff complements those services with civilian benefits, employment services, transportation, housing, minor home repairs, and access to food programs. And as far as the minor home repairs go, our team is unbelievable. What I have learned in working with veterans is that if you ask a veteran to do something for another veteran, you will never hear no. And our guys have put ramps in to veterans that were shut in their own homes. We partnered with Home Depot on a couple of projects. We've done home beautification projects for veterans. It's really amazing to see the camaraderie and support with each other. So at the start, we concentrated our program, and I know Eric and Sam were very familiar with this, on doing a lot of training of peer mentors and community members in cultural competence. And at the end of year one, we had many trained mentors, but not many veterans to mentor. So lesson one was veteran outreach needed to be a key component for the success of the Dwyer program. We shifted focus and we concentrated on outreach. We spoke to all the veteran organizations in Rockland County, at senior centers, police and fire stations. We connected with our local VSA, and we actually, and I think this is unique, we have one of our veteran outreach coordinators at the VSA. So, excuse me for 1 second. I'll be the only person that has to do that. People who know me that this is not my thing. So we have a veteran outreach coordinator at the VSA. It is an unbelievable relationship. We're there when a veteran comes in, when they might be in trouble, when they need to talk to somebody. And especially that's immediate contact for veterans with PTSD or traumatic brain injury. So it's really been significant. We started a veterans task force, a service animal program. We've done frontline paper workshops where veterans sit together and they can choose to cut up a uniform that they wore themselves or somebody else's. It leads to a lot of natural conversation, and it gets created into pulp, which gets created into paper, which an art project can be made on. We partnered with our local hospice who does veteran recognition events each year, and we combine together to do a holiday party. And as Sharon mentioned, we expanded our efforts in wellness and social activities for veterans and their families. So lesson two, what we learned was veterans love free activities, and if they include food, that is a win-win. As a social worker, on a personal note, to expand my own comfort level and knowledge base, I took a postmaster's certificate program in military trauma. And the class turned out to be all women and almost all veterans. So this seemed to be a world I was getting used to being in, where I was the non-veteran in the room. And for me, lesson three was that as a non-veteran, building trust with veterans is a slow and very rewarding process. I learned a lot from the women, as well as what I continue to learn from our incredible Dwyer staff. I know that it is important to educate ourselves about the veteran experience and to be a good listener and to accept that a veteran is most comfortable with another veteran and that there is a place for a social worker-veteran relationship. As a social worker working with veterans, I encourage you to respect the veterans' boundaries and to encourage veterans to speak with their peers without being too dramatic, but knowing this to be true. And Sam said it earlier, the veteran-to-veteran relationship saves lives. The Dwyer program not only supports veterans with post-traumatic stress and traumatic brain injury, but reduces isolation and depression. by connecting veterans with one another and with their community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lorraine. And thank you to all of the panelists. So you've just heard from 6 different panelists representing 5 different Dwyer programs. I just want to remind everybody who's in the audience that there are 17 plus other counties who are also delivering Dwyer programs. So the range and scope and sheer innovation and magic, if you will, that was just on display in these 6 panelists, just imagine that in 23 plus counties around the state. There's an incredible amount of good work going on. So and also I'm amazed, nobody made me use my 1-minute sign. So everybody kept to their time. Thank you so much for that. I had to show it just so you could see it. So we have 20 minutes left, and I think Sam is going to take it from here in terms of covering any questions that audience members might have.
Yes, so we have one question. Hello, everybody. I am an adult care coordinator in Oneida County. I was wondering if there was a program that is set up in Oneida County. If there is no program that is set up, how would I go about setting this program up in Oneida County?
And any of the panelists can take on that question if they'd like to.
I would suggest talking with your local senator in regards to the program. I think that's a really good place to start, that you're interested in the program.
I don't have my points of contact, but I don't believe it's in Oneida County. But again, you may have something that's close by, that's nearby. And, you know, sort of I think what all of us have done over time from different programs is Just Fire and Overcome. Do you have a VFW? Do you have an American Legion? Can you reach out to them? Hey, why don't we start a peer support program to do something? And just follow the program. You know, we get state funded and oversight and everybody watches us, but there's no reason why you can't do more outreach from VFWs and American Legions.
Can I add something too, Samantha?
Absolutely.
So when I was first elected to the state senate, I formed a Veterans Advisory Committee. They're the ones that brought this to me and asked me to find out about it, and I was able to find out about it and get the funding for it, and we've had it ever since in 2015. And something I forgot to say earlier, we all have to push for the governor to put this in his executive budget. That is so important, and your voices are really important. I love listening to everybody. The panelists speak today, so heartfelt. Thank you for everything that you do. I have to sign off because I have another meeting to go into, but I just want to thank you very much, Samantha and Eric, for doing this today. And John, great seeing you. And Senator Brooks, thank you as always. And Senator Carlucci, great to have you guys.
Thank you for your presence and your support, Senator.
Thank you. Take
Thank
care.
you, Senator Serino.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
So I would just add to the Oneida question real quickly that Dwyer County programs are, although they are funded by county, they do serve veterans regardless of where they live. So most programs are willing to serve someone in an adjacent county, or even in some parts of the state, if there are 2 counties away, they can still serve those folks. So if you have veterans in if you're a social worker watching this and you have veterans in your county, but there's no Dwyer program in your county, certainly talk to your local representative to find out about getting one started, but also, you know, look at the adjacent counties for their programs. Other questions?
We did have someone ask, we're lucky in ASW, sometimes we get people from all over the country and sometimes even from other countries. And we had a question if this program was in Chicago. I answered that right now it's a New York State program, but I do know that we have representatives who are trying to get this to become a nationwide program, which I would also suggest that we're able to do that.
And I will add to that, Sam, by saying that there are veteran peer-to-peer programs in almost all states, but there are not other states that have taken it on as a statewide funded project with the level of state commitment and state funding and sustained funding that New York has provided. So that's why I really view New York State as a pioneer in really promoting this type of work. Some other states have just let this work fall to the VA, and that's certainly a valuable resource for veterans, but it's not the only resource for veterans.
So we have another question. Are there Dwyer groups operating in New York County, like Manhattan?
So that's from what I understand, that Manhattan was supposed to be one of the next areas to come on board to the Dwyer program in the next round of funding if it goes through.
That's right. It's in development currently, so there should be programs soon in New York City, and I'm not sure which borough that will be in, but it's should be for New York City residents.
Yeah, we made a big push to include New York City in this budget, in our past budget. So we're looking for that to be implemented, and that's the same across the state. And I think that was the right response, that we have to get the advocacy, go to our local elected officials, and make sure that they're pushing for it. And to start with the governor, that we have this in the executive budget. But yes, we were able to get funding in New York City. And I think that's what people are learning. They say, well, why is it only available in this part of the state? It should be everywhere in the state.
Yeah. There is an active effort right now to bring the program into Queens. There are people working on it now. And we'll, as Senator Carlucci said, we're going to continue to bring funding into the city as well as the rest of the state and expand it.
Thank you, Senator.
One of the other things I'll just say real quickly, if you don't mind, Sam, that's been, and audience members may be picking up on this, but one of the things that's so nice about the Dwyer program is the spirit of collaboration between counties. So it's not just the 6 panelists you see, but Dwyer staff from all over the state, from counties, from the farthest corners of New York State, are willing to work with other Dwyer programs and to help each other. It's not a competitive thing where they're fighting for dollars, but they're all working together to help veterans. And I think that's a unique aspect of this program too.
And we had a follow-up question, which I can answer, asking, would we keep people updated through our Veterans Mental Health Training Initiative listserv? Absolutely. We have a lot of Dwyer people on our committee, so we'll make sure to keep you updated. And then one of our partners with the Veteran Mental Health Training Initiative, Melissa, she works with the Medical Society of the State of New York. They are also partners with us in this grant. And she's asking, do you have any suggestions on approaches to encourage physicians to encourage veteran patients to get involved with Dwyer?
That's a great question. Does one of the panelists want to cover that? Do you have ideas on ways that that we can encourage physicians to make referrals to programs like Dwyer? Maybe your counties have started programs where you're connecting with hospitals. I know that some of the programs do have active partnerships with medical facilities, so I'm curious about that.
We work with mental health officers in our local hospital. They're well aware of our program. In addition, our flyers and contact information is in their psychiatric unit. There's no more any detox units and things of that nature, but we work very well with the hospital. And, again, so all the units, all the different Dwyer units work very well together. We work with any one of the organizations, and they've called us, and we've actually either gone to the jail or to the hospital, whatever needs to be done. I mean, there are certain rules you have to follow. I can't call and speak to somebody. They can't confirm nor deny if the person's there. But sometimes they're able to reach out to us because they know how to find it.
Right. I think the question is a really good one. The idea of partnering with medical providers and with other organizational partners. Dwyer programs really extend their reach in that way. One of the big challenges for Dwyer, frankly, over the years has been advertising. It's been getting the word out there. It's been letting, providers know, social workers know, doctors know, people in prisons, people, any of these folks have to know that Dwyer exists in order to refer veterans to Dwyer. And sometimes the Dwyer programs are so busy delivering the valuable services that they're delivering that they're not always out there spreading the word because they're doing the hard work. So I think there's certainly work to be done in amplifying the knowledge about Dwyer, and that's why a panel like this, I think, is so critical too.
And we'll continue to do that work through the Veterans Mental Health Training Initiative grant, because the way we really view this is that we know we need the peers. Like as social workers, as physicians, as psychiatrists, anyone working with veterans, we need the peers. So what we've talked about through our Veterans Advisory Committee is kind of a long-term goal, is creating a list of practitioners who take our courses so that we know they have some veteran training, that they have some cultural humility when they go in, and that they're learning about the veteran culture, they're learning about different veteran topics. So there can be a warm handoff from veterans to clinicians and physicians, and also from clinicians and physicians to Dwyer programs. We want that to be an open door. And we have a couple more really good questions. One is, are there any LGBTQIA+ Dwyer programs? I do want to just do a shameless plug that we will be having a panel on this. There will be a panel on the LGBTQ veterans and how you can work with them. But I do want to give the panelists an opportunity to talk about how they work with people who identify.
Well, for us in Rockland County, I'm sorry, John.
Go ahead, Sharon.
But I don't think it's separate. We're all there together. And we do have individuals that identify, as well as we do have mentors that are very open with their stories, and they're very open and able to connect with other veterans. So when we're doing our matching of veterans, we're looking at what would be important to that veteran. Will it be experience, Vietnam, LGBTQ concern, identifications, all of that is considered when we're matching veterans. So we don't have to have anything separate, but we all are inclusive, and that's what we try to be. That's the way we serve. And we know that all service was validated, and all service is important. Then the other thing is that we also have a service here in the New York area, the New York City and Hudson Valley area is the SAGE Vets. And they have a lot of resources, they have a lot of history, and they do a lot of programming for veterans if there's something specific and they need something now. And we're always open to talking and connecting veterans with other veterans.
What I was going to say is that for us and for our veteran service officer, the simple fact is, if you're a veteran, end of story. Don't care what color you are, where you came from, what your identification is the answer, you're a veteran, then I'm here to help you. And if I don't have the answer or I don't have the resources, I know where to find them. I know SAGE, we know different individuals that we could reach out to. We pair them up with people that are appropriate. But the only identifier that we use, we hate using identifiers, is did you serve? And even with a lot of women veterans that we're dealing with, the question is, are you a veteran? They don't even like that. It's, did you serve? And that's the only question we'll ask. Did you serve? Great, you're good to go with me. Anything else doesn't make a difference for me.
I just would like to say that I agree with Sharon and John. Currently, we do not have anyone who identifies. However, at the end of the day, we all bleed military. We all are soldiers, we all are veterans. And we know we have the resources, SAGE, to be able to reach out to anyone who does identify. But other than that, we're all the same, and they receive the same services and the same assistance.
But I do think there is an issue, and we want to make sure everybody knows that they're welcome. And I think because of the history of the military and being put out because of your sexual orientation, and then don't ask, don't tell, has impacted individuals to come to any of the veteran programs and identify. And so that's why I said we're all inclusive, but if there's a need, we just say, come and talk to us and give us that opportunity to come together, because we weren't always coming together and we weren't always open, and we're not going to pretend it was like that. And so we also put that out in our training, our military training, because some areas have different concerns.
Hi, Larry, how are you?
Thank you. We did get a question, I think Eric answered it, asking if Monroe County has funding. They do have funding. And I'm going to ask Eric if he can provide me with the latest sheet of counties and the contact for those counties. And then we'll post that in our social media posts, and we'll send that, email that out. We'll get it up on our website as well, along with this recording. We want everyone to have access to this material. And then we have one last question. Does Dwyer work with chaplains and clergy?
Anybody can answer that. I'd love to hear. Yeah.
We do. We have a very good relationship with one of the Baptist churches that's in Carmel, doing an outreach program. Again, we've addressed, there's a unification group that's, Episcopal, Jewish, Catholic, and we've addressed them and given them the information. And, just like tomorrow, we're going to be due training with the emergency response teams for the police departments, because we've been part of, hostage situations where do they know anybody that the guy can speak to? And then that's brought us through the criminal court system, through his lawyers and, parole, but then he needed something for faith-based support. And we had the perfect person for him to reach out to be able to sit down and talk with. So, I think all of the Dwyer programs will tell you, if they're out there and we think they can help us, I'm knocking on their door. Can you help me? How? And this is how you can do it.
Brent, were you going to say something?
Yeah, we've partnered with some community churches in our neighborhoods to put on some veteran tributes, and also to disseminate some furniture and clothes and things of that nature. And so I did on John, if we could help, for the most part, we don't have any issues with receiving it.
Yeah. So one of the things, if the audience members are wondering about this, one of the things you'll notice is that all of the Dwyer County programs are run differently. And that's an important aspect of the funding, is that the funding does not dictate a particular service model. There are some components that are common through all the programs, but each program is allowed to set up its program in a way that makes sense for its own community and contextualize it for that community. So I think that's a really critical part of it, so that if one county, a rural county, needs to respond to its veteran population in a different way than an urban county does. A county in the western part of the state is very different than a county on Long Island. And so it's not a one-size-fits-all model. It really enables and empowers each of the county programs to design program features that work for that county and that are fluid. So, the LGBTQ plus question was really wonderful. I think some of the counties have, tried programming for that population, have, thought about it, maybe haven't tried it yet, but want to. And so this is an opportunity for them to think about, okay, what could we do differently? We know that's a subpopulation of the veteran population we need to reach. How can we do that? So even getting that question, I think, is a really important, point that will help the counties think about it.
So as we wrap up, we have one last question I have to answer because I know the answer. Someone asked, is the program for military service members as well as National Guard? John said it, and what I've heard people from all over the state say, if you raised your hand, we're here for you and we'll help you. Despite discharge service, despite discharge status or anything, if you raised your hand to serve this country, you are welcome in our program. And that's the beauty of the Dwyer program. It's one of the reasons I love being involved. I, again, cannot thank this panel enough. They are so selfless. They have helped us at NASW, along with several other peers. You'll get to know some of our other committee members. We're going to have 2 panels for 9/11. One's going to be on 9/10 and one on 9/14. And then we actually have a free continuing ed on 9/11 about moral injury. Those panels are just the stories of veterans about 9/11. Some of them are going to speak about that day, and some are going to speak about what's happened since that day and how they cope with that day and how it impacted them. It's really just their lived stories, which are fascinating, and I hope you join us. Of course, anything we do with this grant is free. We want everyone to participate and learn and to support our veterans. Senator Carlucci, I cannot thank you enough for staying with us till the end and being so supportive.
Thank you.
I know you're supportive of the Dwyer program, and I just really appreciate the way you support veterans. Do you want any last words to our panelists?
Well, no, thank you, Samantha, and thank you everyone for participating. You know, I mean, I recently ran for Congress, and part of the platform was to bring the Dwyer program nationally. And unfortunately, my campaign didn't work out, but I'm hopeful that we'll still get there. And I think you're all ahead of the curve, and we've got to make sure that the rest of the country catches up. So thank you all for the work you're doing, and please consider me a partner in any way we can continue to move this initiative forward. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And Eric, thank you for moderating. It's good partnering with you again. And panelists, would you like to take us home and tell everyone bye?
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Guys.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Good Air Force Day, anyway.